Hello everybody and welcome to Tiger Tales, a place you'll find stories and fanfictions written and read to you by host me, Tai Tiger. However, today we're diving back in with our subsection series called Storytime with Cosplay Dude 637. I've allowed my parabatai best friend and business partner, Cosplay Dude, to bring his stories from Storytime over to Tiger Tales. And now, not only is that happening, but he's also adding new stories. Hence today's chapter. This is, of course, in dedication to Mark the Cornish Ranger. Me and Cosplay Dude have taken it upon ourselves to kind of build a Cornish multiverse, kind of revolving all the stories around Mark the Red Cornish Ranger. Today, we're diving in with cosplay's version of the multiverse using Sword Art Online. So, without further ado, let's dive in. Sword Art Online Cornish Saga Chapter 1 New and Old Friends.
My name is Kazuto Kirigaya, though most of you may know me as Kirito. This story isn't about my usual ventures or my familiar companions. Instead, it's about another player I met during my time in Alfheim Online. His name was Piran. Like me, he was a Spriggan, but unlike me, he wielded a bow and arrow with unmatched precision. In fact, he was one of the best snipers I had ever seen, second only to my cat Sith friend, Sion. I was out monster farming when I met Piran for the first time. I was tracking a horde of demon boars, a pig-like monster that stood on 2 feet. As I followed their trail through the dense forest, I noticed someone perched high in a tree. His bow drawn, his eyes focused on the same target. I paused, watching him for a moment. He moved with the fluid grace of someone who has spent countless hours honing their craft. Just as the boars came into view, he released his arrow. It flew straight and true, striking the lead boar with pinpoint accuracy. The creature collapsed instantly. The rest of the herd scattered in panic. "Nice shot!" I called out, making my presence known. Piran turned his head slightly, acknowledging me with a nod.
"Thanks,"
he replied, his voice calm and composed.
"Didn't expect to see another Spriggan out here."
I landed gracefully on the ground beside him. "I'm Kirito."
"Piran,"
he introduced himself, lowering his bow.
"What brings you out here?"
"Just hunting some boars for the materials," I replied. "And you?"
"Same here. Always good to stock up on resources,"
he said, glancing back at the fallen boar.
"Thought it looked like we could cover more ground if we worked together."
"Agreed," I said with a smile. "Let's hunt." We spent the next few hours tracking and hunting the demon boars. Piran's arrows and my sword strikes complemented each other perfectly. By the time we were finished, we had gathered a substantial amount of materials and formed a solid camaraderie. As we returned to the main city to trade our spoils, I couldn't help but feel that this encounter was the beginning of a new and exciting chapter in Alfheim Online. Piran's skill and mysterious aura intrigued me, and I was eager to see what challenges he could face in ALO.
"So, are you part of a group or just solo players?"
Piran asked me, snapping me out of my reverie. "Huh? Oh no, I'm part of a group. We've been playing together for a long time now. I used to solo back in..." I paused, looking at him. It wasn't common to talk about SAO to other players if you didn't know if they were a survivor or not. "Another game, but I won't do that again," I answered.
"That's cool. I have a party also, but it's so late where I live in real life that most are asleep, and I wanted to work on my stealth skills,"
Piran said. "I get that. I mean, I'm out here solo now. Well, until I met you, that is." "Hey, why don't we add each other as friends? If you ever need help, I can come assist you."
"I like that,"
Piran said, opening his main screen and sending me a friend request. Once it popped open, I hit accept. "It was really cool to meet you, Piran. Hope to see you around," I said, then hit the log off button.
Mark slowly opened his eyes, the soft glow of his Atmosphere screen reading 2 a.m. He carefully removed the headset and sat up, gazing out of his window at the quiet streets of Cornwall illuminated by the moonlight.
"So that was Kirito,"
Mark mused aloud, his thoughts lingering on the encounter with the legendary player. He glanced over at his computer desk, where a video interview of Asuna and Kirito was paused on the screen.
"Axel is going to flip when I tell him."
Mark chuckled to himself. imagining his friend's excitement upon hearing about his encounter. He leaned back in his bed, reflecting on the adventure he had just experienced in the virtual world, and wondering what other surprises awaited him in the future.
Hey, listen!
My name is A Crown, and if you enjoy fanfiction, be sure to check out The Author's Crown. We have stories from all kinds of franchises like DC, Power Rangers, and Transformers. But wait, there's more! We also do original crossovers you didn't know you needed. Head on over to YouTube and search for The Author's Crown today.
In the event square of Falmouth, there was a popular spot that most gamers in Cornwall frequented, a place called Packet Cyber Cafe. Mark Bailey often visited the cafe, and today was no different. At his usual table sat his best friend Axel, Axel's girlfriend Nia, and his own girlfriend Becky.
Morning, guys.
Mark greeted as he approached the table, taking a seat beside Becky.
Hey, Mark.
Axel said, grinning.
You look like you pulled another all-nighter.
Something like that.
Mark replied, smirking.
But you'll never guess who I ran into last night in Alfham Online.
Who?
Nia asked, leaning in with interest.
Kirito.
Mark said, his eyes lighting up with excitement. Axel nearly choked on his drink.
No way. The Kirito?
Yeah, the one and only.
Mark confirmed, a wide smile spreading across his face.
We teamed up for a bit and even exchanged friend requests.
That's amazing.
Becky exclaimed, squeezing Mark's hand.
What was he like?
Pretty cool and down to earth.
Mark said.
Just as skilled as the stories say.
Axel shook his head in disbelief.
Man, I can't believe it. Kirito, you're gonna have to tell us everything.
Absolutely.
Mark said, settling into his chair.
But first, how about we order some drinks? I have a feeling this is going to be a long story.
As they signaled a waiter, the group settled in, eager to hear every detail about Mark's incredible encounter. The Packet Cyber Cafe buzzed with the energy of gamers, but at that table, the excitement was all about the legendary player.
Hello, fellow listeners. Are you sitting comfortably? Good. Then I will begin. I'm going to read you a story of ancient beings of time and light, of group of champions flying in their metal shells, of great warriors and their epic mechs, of evil villains, of darkness and terror. Come join me, the Red Cornish Ranger, as I present Nerds Through Comics, an epic telling of your classic comics and graphic novels. Please come sit comfortably and enjoy Nerds Through Comics from the Zero to Hero Network.
After Mark finished his tale of his adventure with Kirito, his friends were in shock.
Why didn't you tell him?
Becky asked. Tell him what? Mark smirked.
That you know who he was.
Nia added, looking perplexed.
It never came up.
Mark said with a wink.
Okay. Let's get back on point here.
Becky said, bringing the conversation back on track. Mark nodded and looked at his friends.
You're right, babe. So, are you guys all set to log on tonight?
Becky and Nia nodded softly.
You know I am, man. Ready to kick some mob ass.
Axel said, pumping his fist in the air.
Is John and Jessica joining us?
Nia asked.
They both plan on logging on after John gets off work.
Axel confirmed.
If John works late today, why ain't they here now?
Mark asked.
They had that appointment today.
Nia said.
Appointment?
Axel asked, confused.
At the fertility clinic.
Becky said softly. A look of recognition crossed Mark and Axel's faces. They both nodded silently, understanding the weight of the situation.
Right.
Mark said quietly.
I hope everything goes well for them.
Me too.
Axel added, his tone more subdued.
They've been wanting this for a long time.
The group fell silent for a moment, each lost in their own thoughts. Becky reached over and squeezed Mark's hand, offering a small, supportive smile. Nia did the same for Axel.
Let's make sure tonight's session is a good one,
Nia said, breaking the silence.
They could use some fun and relaxation.
Agreed.
Mark said, a determined look on his face.
We'll make it a night to remember.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, what was that?
That was a tiger's roar, my dear Eric, and I believe that means that soon we will have a new episode of Tiger Tales on YouTube. If you like Power Rangers, Ben 10, Doctor Who, Pokemon, Walking Dead, Tiger Tales is a place for you on YouTube. Tai Tiger, my Parabatai, goes out and tells stories that he has written. They are amazing and they must be listened to, my friends. Trust me when I tell you, you will not be sorry.
So, you want me to go listen to Tiger Tales on YouTube, right?
That's correct, Eric. You and everybody else, go check out Tiger Tales on YouTube.
"9 p.m. BST. Mark Bailey's bedroom."
Mark set the room temperature to a cool 70 degrees, then walked over and lay down on his bed. He placed his cell phone on the charger and put on his atmosphere. Taking a deep breath, he spoke the 2 words that would transport him to the world of Alfheim Online.
Link, start!
In a flash of lights, Mark's mind was transported to LO, where he became the Spriggan warrior Pyron. Pyron blinked his eyes and looked around. He was in the bustling capital city of ALO.
Yggdrasil.
He quickly spotted his friends. Axel had become the fiery salamander mace wielder known as Ace. Becky had transformed into the purple-haired gnome named Spirit, with her 2 one-handed axes strapped to her back. Nia was now the cat Sith named Daisy, agile and ready for action. Standing next to them was a leprechaun named A. Crown, brandishing his long sword with practiced ease. Beside him was the graceful
Undine,
known as Rose. These were the avatars of their friends John and Jessica Kelling.
Hey, Paran.
Ace called out, waving his mace in greeting.
Ready for some action tonight?
Always.
Paran replied, grinning.
Good to see everyone.
Spirit smiled warmly.
Let's make tonight a good one. We could all use some fun.
Daisy nodded, her cat ears twitching.
Absolutely. It's been a long day, and I'm ready to unwind.
A. Crown sheathed his sword and gave a nod of acknowledgement.
Let's show those mobs who's boss.
Rose smiled, her eyes reflecting the calm determination of an
Undine
warrior.
I'm glad we're all here together. Let's make this night count.
Pyran looked around at his friends, feeling a surge of camaraderie.
All right, team. Let's head out and take down the beast of Bodmin.
With that, the group set off into the vast, magical world of Alfheim Online, ready to face whatever challenges came their way.
This story was written and given to you guys by Cosplay Dude 637. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel titled Storytime with Cosplay Dude 637, where you'll find all the storylines that Cosplay Dude has brought to the channel. Then, of course, check out Tiger Tales Game Over, where Cosplay Dude 637 has been actually giving us a new Kingdom Hearts storyline. So make sure you go check out that as well. Now, on with the outro.
This podcast is a production of the 3 Ranger Bros Studios, in association with Zio to Hero, the podcast.
Thank you very much for listening to this chapter. If you want to hear more fanfictions and storylines, I have plenty of other Tiger Tales channels that you guys should be checking out. I'm going to give you a list of all of them. There's Tiger Tales, the channel that started it all. There's Tiger Tales The Lost Stories, a channel dedicated to storylines with the first person view. Tiger Tales Game Over, a channel dedicated to video game storylines. Tiger Tales X, official crossover fanfictions go on this channel. Tiger Tales Mysterious Origins, all my original storylines coming from myself go on that one. Then you have Tiger Tales One-Offs, a Tiger Tales channel dedicated to one-off storylines that have no continuation. We've also now expanded to podcasts, so make sure you check out everywhere where you can listen to your podcast, the Fiction Fighters podcast, where you'll find a storyline called the Fiction Fighters, where fiction is power. I want to use this moment to thank all my supporters and the partners of Tiger Tales. First off, make sure you check out Cosplay Dude 637. I'm going to give you a quick rundown of all the places you can find him and where you can listen to his fanfictions. First off, there's Power Rangers Universe 19, a podcast dedicated to Power Rangers and Kamen Rider storylines. You'll also find a few of my stories on there too. Then, you also got Sailor Moon E, a Sailor Moon dedicated podcast storyline. Then you have The Order. Cosplay Dude 637's original storyline goes on this podcast. Then you have the One Piece audio drama YouTube channel, an audio drama dedicated to One Piece. Then you have Nostalgia Time, a YouTube channel dedicated to all fanfictions and storylines that are meant to make you feel nostalgic. You also have Marvel Universe 19, where you'll find Marvel related fanfictions. You can also find some of my storylines there too. Now, of course, me and Cosplay Dude 637 are part of a studio called the Three Ranger Bros Studios, so I'd like to mention the third member, Mark the Red Cornish Ranger, and his podcast, Naruto Comics, where he adapts comic books into audio dramas, and you can also find his original Power Ranger storylines there as well. A quick shout out to a few of my supporters. We have the If You Give a Dad a podcast host, Jared. Make sure you check out his podcast. He interviews some amazing guests. The Zero to Hero podcast, the Balkan Scholar podcasting, Billy and Jim, of course, have been there since the get-go. So make sure you check out the Zero to Hero podcast. Some of my stories wouldn't be here without the Author's Crown YouTube channel's host, A Crown. So make sure you check out the Author's Crown YouTube channel with his fanfictions there. Now, if you'd like to hear me interview content creators about their content or geek about specific topics with a bunch of geeks, make sure you check out the Tiger Nexus podcast. My podcast can be found everywhere you can find your podcast, and we have a great time. We usually upload on Mondays. Now, of course, make sure you check out the links down below. It'll lead you to some of my other channels. I game on YouTube, I do artwork on YouTube, and I like to talk about movies, TV shows, and comic books on YouTube. So make sure you go check out the other channels. A huge thank you to everyone watching. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and of course hit that notification bell so you don't miss another chapter. Roar of passion, everybody, and I shall see you guys in the next one.
That before we can...
Don't touch my Pringles.